So Eric has been on point this offseason. Word on the street is he is not done yet. The Ravens are for sure stacked. They are stacked when it comes to skill position players on both sides of the field, which is great in case we have a man down situation during a camp, during training camp, or in season. And so there's no need to stress people because everybody's been stressing out online, worrying about, they've been stressing like, we're stacked. As long as we don't have injuries, as long as we don't have injuries, stop saying it because you kind of speak it into existence. So let's just lay off that injury thing. Let's just, put it to the back, on the back burner, so to speak. But EDC has signed the perfect blend of vets and rookies, it seems, as it pertains to personality, work ethics, availability, and on the field production. So kudos to EDC for making the magic happen this offseason. It looks like the locker room is going to be great. D-Hop spoke on that earlier. Well, not early today, but, earlier during a few weeks ago, a couple of days ago. He spoke on that. He said there's no divas, put it like that, no divas. So he likes it. He fits right in. And he's very seasoned and mature. So, I'm sure he seems like a type that'll speak his mind. And so he said that, so it must be true. And as for our sophomore players who didn't see the field last year, hopefully they'll get a chance, an opportunity this season to shine. But namely Tez and Tampa, TJ Tampa. I really want to see those two. I really get some good playing time this season. But like I said, since we have acquired some quality vets defensively and offensively, they have been demoted, air quotes. But that's not a bad thing. They're still on the team. They're not going to get cut. So Tez, he has quite a few ahead of him when it comes to the receivers. He has Zay Bate, D-Hop, and Thailand. I'm not sure if Thailand is number 4 or number 5. I'm putting Thailand at number 4 and Tez at number 5. The other two cats that we signed last season, I think it was mid-season that we signed them, the receivers, they really helped us out during that playoff game that we lost. Because, when Bate went down, Zay was already down and they stepped up. But then when Bate went down, they stepped up real big. When we needed them the most. So I'm not sure what their status is on the team, but I know they have been out there practicing with the team. So that's a plus. But Tez is probably number 5. I'm going to put him at number 5 on the depth chart for receivers. He is a special teams player, sometimes, so he should see some field time on special teams. But hopefully, like if we're ahead by blowing somebody out by like 100 points, maybe they'll throw him in there, he can get some time. You know what I mean? But the same thing is for TJ Tampa. Of course, he's a defensive player, but he's in the same situation as Tez with the acquisition of Cheeto and Jair Alexander. So, he has been demoted as well, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I can see how it could affect his vibe for sure. Because, you're thinking, but I mean, well, no, I'm not even going to say that, because as a player, you should always know that it's a possibility that they're going to bring somebody else in. But depth is so important. It's so important to have depth when it comes to football, or any sport for real, but football. But nevertheless, he'll get his opportunity to grace the field, I'm sure, this season, just not as a bona fide starter, but he will grace the field. We definitely have, like I said earlier, a lot of people, an embarrassment of riches on both sides of the ball. And I am not going to complain about that. Sidebar. So about special teams. Okay. So people online, I'm always going to say online, but people are spazzing because Tyler, I think his name is Tyler Loop. I just know Loop. He's been having struggles, I think, kicking past the 50. So I'm not really worried about that too much, because Tucker was some shit last year. And in fact, he cost us maybe 3 games. I'll say 4 games. So, and we still prevailed. So if we can manage through Tucker to get through that, what he put us through last season, letting us down, he really let us down. So if we can survive that and still make it to the postseason, then we can get through. We can survive with Tyler Loop. And then I forgot who the other kicker is that I think he's a undrafted. I don't know who this kicker is. I'm not sure, but I know it's there is a kicker competition going on in camp. So who knows? But I do know Tyler Loop is not going anywhere. They drafted him, so they have to give him a little grace, And Lamar knows what to do. The offense knows what to do. Get him in field goal range. That's it. Get him in field goal range. And but there are two rookies. Let's pivot to the rookies. No, I'm gonna stay with the rookies. So there are two rookies that I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see LaJohntay Wester and Mike Green, both for obvious reasons. They're both dogs and a perfect fit for our Baltimore Ravens. Now, LaJohntay. Man, LaJohntay. I'm so excited for this young man being a part of our team, the Baltimore Ravens, the Ravens flock. I know he fell. Well, the draft is months removed. However, in my opinion, Wester should have gone about second, third round, in my opinion. Second or third round. I'm no savant. I'm no draft savant, but from what I've seen of him over the past two years, I watched him for 2 years. So regardless, I'm thankful that he was drafted by the Ravens. We for sure need his return skills. He's gonna start on day one. There's no doubt about that. And it's not just that as far as the return skills, but his resume as a returner is impeccable. For every college he played for, he left his mark and broke records and all that stuff. So he's just not just as a returner, but just as a receiver in general. Like his skill set is like amazing, and he's kind of like Zay Flowers as far as the way he plays. So with that being said, unless Zay goes down, he probably won't see the field either. Only on special teams, or if we're ahead. If we're ahead, and like I said, blowing somebody out by 100 points, then he'll see the field. But I do remember Keaton spoke on kick returns that he wants to get back to doing kick returns. So if that's so, then LaJohntay will be exclusively a punt returner. Either way, he's a Raven. He'll be a Raven. He will see some field time this year. Now, let me just say this. Well done, Coach Prime. Well done, Coach Prime. And I say well done, Coach Prime, simply because of what he brings to an organization. And it trickles down to the young men on both sides, his team and the opposing team. He brings eyeballs. He brings media hype, which is beneficial not only to his squad, but for every team that plays Colorado. He brings notoriety. He brings knowledge and wisdom of the game. And what's more important, he's not a gatekeeper. He fills those young men up. He fills them up with all the knowledge. My God, he has like what? 1, 2, 3 Hall of Famers working with him. I don't want to say for him, they work with him. Or it's 3 including himself. Sapp, himself, and who's the running back? The running back coach. I don't know why his name is not coming to me. So they have 3 Hall of Famers on that coaching squad. I think I'm just want to say 4, but I'm just going to go with Terrell. What's the name? Terrell Owens. He's not on the squad. He's not a coach, but he's there a lot. But so yeah, they have 3 Hall of Fame coaches at Colorado. So he brings so much to that team, and the eyeballs namely. So for whatever reason people watch the Colorado Buffaloes, it's whatever reason they watch it. It's Coach Prime. If they watch it for Prime to see him fail or to see him succeed, they watch it. They're tuned in. His games are the highest rated college football games whatever. You know what I'm saying? So any team that goes up against Colorado, their players are going to have eyeballs on them as well. So they go hard and they play hard because they're putting that on tape, and they know every news outlet is going to be there. Scouts are going to be there, and all that stuff everybody's going to be there. Everybody that's of importance is going to be there at those games or watching those games exclusively. So yeah, Coach Prime, and he is not a gatekeeper. Yeah, this is why I say well done, Coach Prime. This is precisely why I say well done, Coach Prime. And so yeah, LaJohntay, I got your jersey. I'm waiting for it to be delivered, and you better sign my jersey. If you hear this, which I'm sure you won't, I'm gonna have my jersey there. And my next rookie that I'm looking forward to really watching this season is Mike Green. Mike Green. And I ordered his jersey, so it should be delivered soon. And I'm gonna get an autograph too of that one. But anyway, so yeah, he has a sketchy history to be so young, and yep, he should have gone in the first round as well. Well, not as well, but he fell to the second round, and that ain't too shabby either, but he fell, for his alleged off the field shenanigans, alleged, because, he wasn't charged with anything or anything like that. So him falling in the draft and all the negative coverage of him is just pouring fuel on a fire. Like it's fueling the flame that's already lit, because when people face adversity, whether it's their own doing or just in life, life be throwing all kinds of shit at you. But when people face their own adversity and they finally accomplish that goal or get to where they've been trying to get to for as far as they can remember, and then people trying to, dog you out and drag you, it just makes you hungrier. It makes you hungrier. So he's already excelling in practices, and soaking up the playbook from what I've been hearing. And so just that pouring that fuel on the fire is going to bring out the dog in him. And so far it's already showing, and I can't wait to go to one of the practices and preseason to see both my guys play. I'm just ready to just focus on them. And hopefully the organization, has a personnel assigned to him, somebody from personnel assigned to him, like they had for Zay Flowers when he was going through his shenanigans. He had people with him. Like every time I saw him, he had the same two people that were with him to keep him, I guess, focused, and not, just to keep him focused. And hopefully they'll do the same thing with Mike Green. And, his head is on straight. Hopefully he's thankful that he got, drafted. And this is his chance, his opportunity. And whatever happened in the past is in the past. And he's overcome it. He's overcome it. So anyway, so all the rooks look promising so far. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see all of them come into form. And yeah. But I'm really waiting to see LaJohntay and Mike Green. And okay, let's transition to something that I saw online this morning. So I saw something today that put out a list. Somebody put out a list of the worst receiving corps for the past 5 years, and the Ravens held 2 spots. The 2020, the COVID year, when we had crazy injuries. In 2022, the year we finally got rid of Greg Roman, and that god-awful strength and conditioning guy. His name escapes me, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Is it Sanders or something? I'm not sure. But it's been an uphill battle for the Ravens since then. Not an uphill battle. It's been all uphill for the Ravens since then. So, yeah, the Ravens been doing really well since they cut those 2 loose. Dead weight are gone. But I want to shout out Hollywood Brown and Rashad Bateman for speaking up about those issues when they were going on. I'm assuming, like, if Hollywood would have never spoken up about that, about the G-Row and the scheme, G-Row probably would still be here. And if Bate never spoke up about injured players and things like that, old dude would still be here too. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for speaking up, you guys. But let me talk about this list. So the worst wide receiver corps from each of the last 5 years. 2024, the New Orleans Saints. 2023, the New England Patriots. 2022, the Baltimore Ravens. And on that squad, we had Demarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay, Rashad Bateman, Deshaun Jackson, Sammy Watkins, and James Prochet. 2021 was the New York Giants. In 2020, the Baltimore Ravens. And we had Marquise Hollywood Brown, and we had Willie Snead. People always talk about Willie Snead when they talk about Lamar. He was throwing to Willie Snead, and they always. I feel so bad for Willie Snead, but anyway, Willie Snead, Miles Boykin, Devin Duvernay, Des Bryant, James Prochet. So in both of those years, we had two old cats. They weren't really old, but football years, they were old. We had Des Bryant and we had Deshaun Jackson. And then James Prochet was on both squads. But I think he went to the Browns, I think he went to the Browns. Yeah, he went to the Browns. So we had two old cats. And then we had Devin Duvernay was on both squads. I think he went to the Jags. I'm not sure if he's still there or not. And Rashad wasn't with the 2020. When was he drafted? He was drafted 2021, I think. I don't remember. But either way, so those were the 2 years, 2020 and 2022. 2020 was terrible. We was just riddled with injuries, and so was 2021. It's riddled with injuries. 2022, it was just Lamar. Yeah, he anyway, I don't want to go back through that. But imagine where we'd be if Hollywood and Bay hadn't spoken up. Like I said, G-Ro would still be here, dragging the team down. Because, Harbaugh, he don't believe in letting people go, okay? We should let him go. But either way, Lamar will be gone with another team, winning chips. He be winning so many chips and the MVPs. And this will still be the place where receivers come to die. And our players will still be injury prone. So imagine that, y'all. Just imagine if Hollywood would have never spoken up. And he spoke up. He got up out and he requested his trade and he got up out of here. And if Rashad Bateman hadn't made that tweet, put that tweet out about being injured, I think it was directed to EDC too, about being injured. Because I think the team had, like the end of the year where they put out the team, which team has the worst facility and all that stuff. I think the players do the survey or something. And the Ravens were on there about the strength and conditioning because everybody was just always injured. And it was like, what the hell is going on? So, you have to speak up. That goes to show you. Look. Okay, check this out. Bateman spoke up, and look at Bate. He's healed. He's on his third contract. He got his rookie contract, and he got another contract last year. And then he went out there and got his new contract. And he did it. He did it under the radar. Like, I love Bate because he just be so smooth. He just be so smooth with everything. Like, he just quiet, laid back. He handled his business. Nobody even knew he was shopping himself around. Like, well, not him, but his agent. They didn't even know until he signed his contract. Like, that's how you got to do. You fly under the radar. You handle your business. You prove yourself, and then you go and you talk to them. You let them know what you want, because there is a market for him because he's healed and people dragged him so bad the past couple years. I've always been a probate guy, lady, but people dragged him. And I'm like, he had a fucking foot injury, okay? It wasn't a hand or a wrist. It's a foot. Like he had surgery on his foot. He had metal plates and rods in his foot. So that's gonna stop anybody from performing to the best of their ability. So, but like Lamar said the other day, people was dragging Bate, but he's healed now, and now he's healed, and you could see what I always knew. Because I remember, what's it, 2023? Let me look at this thing. 2023. Yep. I think Lamar had just signed his contract. And Bate had, Bate had just got some screws out or something. I don't know. But the first 4 games of the season, Bate was going and he was going in. Him and Lamar was connecting, and then bam, he re-injured his foot. So, he was shining for a minute, but then that rest of that season he tried, but he just couldn't do it. And people was dragging him for that. Like he saw he washed. He's not. Some people can't even get up to go to work because they have a cold. And you're going to talk about an athlete because he had rods in his foot? Y'all people sometimes, I just laugh. But either way, so I'm glad those two dudes spoke up. Hollywood's been bounced around, so, he's with the Chiefs, I think. So, and he was injured last year. So either way, I'm glad that people spoke up. I'm glad the Ravens are where they are. And I'm so glad football season is almost here. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's talk about Lamar real quick. Just some little fun stuff that I saw, where everybody saw this. It's been going around. So as it turns out, Lamar had time the other day. Like, he had some time to put in some nasty work. Crazy work. But no. So Lamar shut shits down was the topic of conversation the other day. And that's how some people had it worded, like all on their social media. Lamar shuts shits down. And unfortunately, that's exactly what these fools want. They want engagement from these professional athletes to boost their online traffic. But you don't have to dog people out like that. That's crazy. And then when they respond to you, you act like, woe is me. Like, if you can't take it, baby, don't dish it. I don't know. But the same goes for sports media. Sports media, they come at Lamar. Lamar is always the go-to when it comes to the news, when the news cycle was slow. When it comes to news, if they don't have to talk about, they always bring up Lamar. And they know if you put a picture of him up as your thumbnail, you're going to get a click. Well, if you talk about him or not, you're going to get a click. If you talk about him, if you do anything, and some of the things they say is just so asinine. And I'm like, y'all really can't believe that. But the news cycle was slow, so they have to Lamar. Or now the new Lamar is Shador. So, either way. But yeah, I did kind of enjoy that back and forth banter with LJ coming on. He came on top. He was on top. He handled his business per usual. He definitely came with the receipts. Look, all I can say is have at it, Lamar. Go in on everybody that's coming for you during the off season. When the season starts, let us handle your business. Let us handle your light work. We got your back. We just need you to get out there and stay focused and take us to the promised land, get that chip, okay? But yeah, that was cute though. And that, it's funny because I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram I am, YouTube I am. But I'm not really active. I'm not really active. I'm more into the political scene right now, but I'm sliding my way back in. So, but yeah, so the guy who was interacting with Lamar, he popped up in my rotation, and I was like, I didn't know that was the guy, and I listened to him because he had something on there with Lamar. So of course I clicked the clickbait. I clicked, and then he started talking, and I was like, what? So I went in, and then I was watching Nitro, and he was talking about the guy, and he said he was an Eagles fan. I was like, oh, that must be the same guy. And then he was back in my newsfeed again, and there was the same guy. So I was pissed because I engaged. See how it works? I engaged. But anyway, kudos to Lamar for speaking up and all that good stuff, handling his business. It's going to be a lot more people, come around and want some feedback and some engagement with him. But you can get engagement. You can have engagement by being real. Being real, not disrespectful, but you can be real, or you can have engagement just from being I don't know, nice. I don't know. People just so nowadays. It's crazy. But that's it. That's all. Like, subscribe, and tap that bell, please. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out, flock.